Another idea for coming up with content is to use content you've already written. That way, the work is mostly done for you. This is called repurposing content, and it's a great way to build your list of long-term content as well as resurface some old stuff that performed particularly well. So let's take a look at some avenues for you to repurpose content. First is blog posts. If you have a blog, make a list of posts that you can update and then use those as a script for your podcast. This is a great opportunity to check out content that already does well for you and just put it in a different format. Plus, updating the actual post will hopefully drive more traffic. I actually have a folder in my bookmarks called Posts to Rejuvenate, and these are posts that are old and could use some updating, but on top of rewriting or updating them, I can also use them as ideas for my podcast. So blog posts are a great way to repurpose content and put them in a different format for a hopefully new audience to consume. Next up is YouTube videos. So the same goes for YouTube videos or any videos really that you've created. You can see what does well and grab the audio. And this will work especially well when the video isn't too reliant on visuals. So I have a few talking head videos or non-tutorial videos that I can simply grab the audio and release it as a podcast. As a matter of fact, a lot of these lessons work pretty well in just audio format because it's me talking to you, having some slides and some visuals, but they're not full-on screen tutorials or screencasts where I say like, click here, do that. Your newsletter, if you have one, can also be a great source of content. I will write member newsletters and then a couple weeks later or a couple months later, release them as blog posts. And if my show was the type of show where I could regularly release blog posts or newsletters in audio format, I would, and I've done that from time to time, especially for my gift guides. Like I'll repurpose that content in podcast form, and that always does well for me. Paul Jarvis actually does that. So he would release his newsletter on Sunday. He would release the same content as a blog post on Monday, and then record an audio version of it for his podcast on Tuesday. And again, you can pick newsletters that did well by open rate or click rate and turn them into episodes, even if they're just link roundups. So my newsletter is mostly links and not a whole lot of personal commentary either. But the great thing about that is I'm not doing a lot of timely stuff. So I'm doing just generally good resources. If I need an idea for a podcast, I can pull one of my recent newsletters, look at the links there, and talk about them, put them in the show notes, and add some of my own personal commentary to the links that are already there. I did that for a while on Patreon when I had a Patreon subscription to my podcast. That didn't work out, but as I consider new methods for the podcast and the future of it, that's a very valid method, and it's a great way to use content you've already created in a different way. And finally, there's social media. So look at your social media posts. What Facebook, Twitter, Instagram posts performed well? Can you take something and make it longer form? Were there opinion questions that you can turn into an episode? One example for me is when I asked people what they used when they didn't want to use WordPress for a website. I said, what do you use when WordPress feels like a cannon and you need a slingshot? And this garnered a lot of comments, lots of opinions from people who had ideas for what I might be willing to use. This is great content for my podcast, especially because I talk about how business owners can go ahead and build their own platform and things like that. So I'm a really big fan of this idea. You can definitely look for me making a podcast episode out of this. Maybe it's already out by the time you're watching it. But I think that is a fantastic idea for content I can repurpose. I sent the tweet. I read the tweets. I have some thoughts. And putting that out as a podcast episode would be pretty low effort for me. So your action item is look through your previously published or previously created content. It doesn't even need to be published. Pick out a few pieces to repurpose. You can use the repurpose chart in the workbook to help you out, and be sure to share links in the Facebook Student Center. It's a great way to share some work you've already published with your fellow students, as well as give them some ideas for content.